Please sit down, doctor. We will have a question and answer session eventually, so please be. Oops. We will have a question and answer session eventually, so we will handle the questions and responses at that time. Hold your thoughts. Your thoughts are most welcome. We will give you an opportunity to express those thoughts, but in a while from now. So, you will do the presentation. Okay. Brother Yawar Baig, Jazakallah khair. Wonderful thoughts, wonderful angles, things that we did not know existed. Another perspective of looking at things that we took for granted. Jazakallah khair. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala मुझे भी और आपको भी तौफीक दे समझने की और उसको implement करने की. And you know, indeed fortunate to have Brother Yawar Baig accept our invitation, come down from Hyderabad, speak to you and me. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him and reward everybody who's come here to listen to that. Jazakallah. Okay, moving on. Brother Sherif Kottapurath is now going to take us through the model of Rehbar, how Rehbar works and the entire thing. And again, at the end of that, I know you will have questions. Please jot down your questions and hold those questions for the appropriate time, because at the end of this we will have a panel discussion where the panelists will take all your questions. So Brother Sherif Kottapurath.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I normally prefer to stand and then talk, but then since the presentation is being put up on both sides, I don't know whether to stand on my left or the right, so I think stand in the middle right now. Okay, so I just want to give a quick overview of the financial landscape which is available for people who either want money for their business or want an option to invest invest their hard-earned money somewhere so that they can get returns. Now you'll see that you have different colored options which are put up there. On the top are all the debt instruments, and clearly the debt instruments are not halal, not Sharia compliant. So you have the bond market, you have the consumer finance. And by the way, please hold on that. I mean, Rehbar is actually working on a model where even consumer finance, home financing we will be able to do. We have come up with a model. We are vetting it with the lawyers and chartered accountants to see that it is legal and tax efficient. And once that is done, then maybe we will launch it on in a larger scale. So, but whoever is interested in buying a house and don't have the full money, or whoever is interested in investing in real estate and then getting a rental out of it while helping someone own a house, please do register in Rehbar and let us know your interest in this, and then we will keep you updated on that, inshallah. We have private money lenders, you have corporate finance. On the debt side, Shafi here introduced earlier about Lifeline microcredit. So that's an interest-free credit, which is mostly a charitable activity. So that's the only thing which is actually interest-free, and that is the one which is allowed Sharia-wise. In terms of trading and leasing, you have the private lease, you have the financial lease, which are not Sharia compliant. The other things like sukuk, ijara, murabaha, and so on a institutionalized form of that is not currently legal in India. So there is no option for doing that for banks and so on. RBI is proposing to open this up. They have put up some kind of a paper on that, and they have invited comments, and we are hoping that some of these things will be made available in India soon. In terms of equity, clearly, the many venture capital and private equity things which are completely Sharia compliant, but quite often they add on a few clauses which then make it non-Sharia compliant, which is unfortunately a sad thing. But if, as a businessman, you are at a bargaining power, you have some bargaining power, then you can always bargain with the VCs and get those clauses removed. But in general, that's still a small issue. We have Secura India Real Estate Fund was one such fund which is operational. I don't think they're taking investment any longer. I think that's closed, but that's still functional in terms of giving returns. You have Chairman Fund, which was announced with a lot of fanfare by the government of Kerala. Subramanian Swamy gave a case against that. It went to the court, and finally they got the approval. And that's that sort of that exists, but it has not really done any investments. It's not really given money to any businesses so far, except one real estate deal which has been done. You have people who, like Idara Investments, Profit Share, and so on, who will help you put money in the share market or the stock market, which will have a little bit of the mixture, which Mr. Yawar Baig talked about towards the end. So that's another option, which is, in terms of fatwas, considered Sharia compliant. You have the Musharaka and the Mudaraba as two models which you can participate in. I'm sorry, people are not able to see the bottom part, I think. Is it visible, the bottom row? No. Okay. So basically, it's just whatever I'm reading out or whatever I'm saying is all that is there to see on that. And in terms of Musharaka and Mudaraba, some form of that is actually being used by Rehbar also in its deals. Now, what does Rehbar do? Basically, what Rehbar does is that there are a lot of businesses who want a Sharia compliant and an Indian legal system compliant funding. And there are a lot of investors who want returns which are Sharia compliant. So how do we bring these two together? That's the role that Rehbar basically plays. And what are the things that the businesses want, and what are the things that the investors want? In terms of businesses, they want funds for growth, typically. They don't like to dilute their equity, because what happens is that you need some funds, you give up 30% of your equity. Then you want to grow a little bit more, then you give up another 20% of your equity. Then you give up another 15%, and soon you will be a very, very small minority shareholder in your own company. So most of the businesses don't want an equity dilution just for getting some amount of money, which is why they don't really grow if they don't want to take bank interest and so on. Payout on business performance. Businesses love to give returns. I mean, you have heard the testimonials from those who were here before, during the introductory session. You have seen the testimonials from the businessmen. They feel happy when they give returns to people. They have done well, and they're sharing their returns. It is not that they're stingy. But then, when they're not doing well, and yet they're still expected to give a monthly payout, I mean, that's what hurts. So the businesses want something which is a payout, which is linked to the business performance. They don't have, most of the businesses that we deal with are not large conglomerates or not large multinational corporations and things like that. They don't have the expertise to structure investments. So how do we structure it? What is the right percentage of profit to be given? What do we do in the case of loss, and so on and so forth. So they need someone who can provide that expertise. They want to avoid the headache of managing investors. If I want to get 50 lakhs of investment, and it is being given by 10 people, putting 5 lakhs each, or 20 people putting 2.5 lakhs each. Now I suddenly need to not only manage my business, I need to answer the queries from these 20 people who will ask what happened last month, and why are you not doing this, and why can't you do it this way, and so on and so forth. They don't want that headache. They want a long-term financing partner and an advisor. It is not a one-shot introduction of money. When you see more about the deals that we have done, you'll see that Rehbar has done multiple rounds of investment for the same person. So first you give a certain amount of money, see how they grow, then come to the next hurdle that they have to cross, and see how much more money they need for that, and help them go the next step, and so on. So you need a long-term financing partner and an advisor there. And obviously they, most of the people, I mean, we have, alhamdulillah, funded even non-Muslim businesses, but the majority of the businesses that we have funded want a Sharia compliant financing option, and so that's one of the criteria here. Investors want to invest their funds. They want liquidity, a reasonable amount of liquidity. In terms of, if I want the money, it should not be that I can get it only after 3 years or 5 years or so on. At least with a month's notice or 2 months' notice, I should be able to withdraw my money and then get it when I need. They want a reasonably consistent monthly returns, not a fixed return, but some sort of a consistent monthly return. They need an expertise to analyze, if there are 10 different options for investing, how do we analyze? How do we know what's the real worth of this business? How do we know how much this business can grow? So that expertise is something they need. They want to avoid the headache of monitoring investments, the reverse. Suppose I want to spread my risk, and I want to invest in 6 different businesses or 10 different businesses. Now, I don't really have the time to go and then look at these 10 businesses, find out how they have done, find out why they are not making profit, and so on. You again want a long-term investment partner or advisor who can guide you in terms of, here are some good opportunities, here is where the risk is low, here is where your returns can be high, but your risk is higher, and so on. And again, they want Sharia compliant returns. Okay. Now I'm going to compare the benefits to business and to investors of the various models that we have available. If you have a debt-based investment, you're taking a debt-based investment, you have a fixed interest payment, which is a big burden on the business. But the advantage is that, there is no equity dilution and there is a lower cost of capital in the normal this thing. If you go for equity, you do have the benefit of giving only a variable profit, but then you have the overhead of equity dilution and high cost of capital. Whereas Rehbar gives a balanced approach where there is no equity dilution, there is a variable monthly payment based on your profit, and a Sharia compliant and a moderate cost of capital. So those are the benefits to the business in overall. Yeah. In terms of investors have options of doing a fixed deposit, which is low returns, no upside in a booming economy, and no fluctuations in returns. And note that I am not distinguishing between Sharia compliant and non-Sharia compliant things here. I am going by what Yawar Baig said, that what is halal is good for everyone, and what is haram is bad for everyone. So we are looking at all options, and even for people who are not worried about what Sharia says, even in terms of what is good for them, what is good for the society, you will still see this comparison. That's why we have deliberately included things which are not Sharia compliant in the comparison. So in a fixed deposit, you have low returns and no upside in a booming economy. I mean, the economy is growing at 15%, you're still getting an 8% return on your investment. And the benefit is there's no fluctuation in returns, even though that's a false benefit in my mind. You are getting an 8% return, but that 8% return that you're getting next year is worth much less than the same 8% return that you got the first year, because you can buy far less things with that same amount of money. You could invest in real estate. The potential for high returns is certainly there in real estate, but very low liquidity and a high cost of maintenance and monitoring. I mean, if you buy a land and keep it somewhere, and you think that you'll come back after 3 years and sell it, especially in Bangalore, when you come back after 3 years, you'll find that it's already been sold to 3 other people, right? So you could invest in stock market and commodity shares and funds. You're certainly more likely to get a higher profits in this compared to a fixed deposit. Reasonably good liquidity. You can sell a stock and get the money in about 3 days. But it's a very volatile return. You don't know when. I mean, especially today, we don't have to talk about the risk of stock market when things have, come down so much. And factors beyond just business performance. I mean, something happens in China, your stock market crashes here. I mean, go. So, and again, Rehbar gives you a balanced approach here. You do get to participate in upside of a booming economy. If the economy is booming, it's quite likely that most of your investments are also doing very well, and hence the payout to you are also higher correspondingly. There is a healthy liquidity. You can't obviously get back your money in 3 days, but you could get it back in with a month's notice or 2 months' notice based on the kind of investment that you have made. Again, when Rehbar analyzes the investment and then sends it out, one of the things that Rehbar will mention is also the liquidity in terms of what notice period you need to give to get the money back. Sorry, just go back. And the returns only depend on business performance. I mean, it doesn't depend on factors which are way beyond the business. Now, how does the model work? How does the Rehbar model work? I mean, we have talked about the benefits, but how does this actually happen? I mean, here is where the transparency factor comes in. How do you know whom you're investing in? How do you know what kind of things the money is going in, and so on? So Rehbar basically is standing there between the business and the investor. Okay. The first thing that happens is the business comes to Rehbar with an inquiry. So the business comes and says, look, I need 5 crores of rupees for this, or I need 1 lakh of rupee for this. I mean, we have both extremes. So the business comes and says, I need X amount of money, and this is what I want to do with the money. Then the Rehbar team goes, and the first thing that the Rehbar team asks for is the history. How have you performed in the last 2 years? Give us the books. And the people who come to us for 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, they probably don't even know how they have performed. They have not been keeping books. They don't have any idea of what are the factors which contribute to their profit and what are the factors which contribute to loss. They don't understand the various costs involved and so on. In which case the Rehbar team will go and tell them, here is how you maintain the books, here are the things that you need to record, here are the things you need to do. And then come back after 3 months, after you have collected enough data on this. So, and then we wait for that. If it's the companies which are coming with for these larger requirements, they obviously have their audited returns and so on. So we get all that information, and that information is studied. And based on the requirement for this business, a financial model is done. An analysis is done on the risks involved, which includes doing some background checks on the party. What does his customers say about him? What does his suppliers say about him? How has his dealings been? Has he been paying them on a regular basis? Has he been keeping his word in terms of what he has promised? We talk to the peers, others who are in the business, and say, what is his reputation in this particular business? So various kinds of background checks are done. We also do an analysis in terms of financial stability of this person. Does he have assets to back him up? Does he, is he someone, if his wife falls sick, then he will have to take away all the money from his business and and use that for the cure? Or if he falls sick, is there someone who can take the place? Is the son, a partner in the business or not, especially for the smaller people? So all these factors are analyzed, and then we give a profile. In the profile, we'll have things including, the risk that I just mentioned. What is the social impact? I mean, if you invest in this, are you going to help this person plus a family of 5? Are you going to get some people out of the poverty line? Are you going to get someone out of a debt trap? What is the social impact of this deal? What is the probability of your returns? And all this complete profile is made, and this profile is then mailed out. So that is the due diligence that we talked about. Sorry, that's the step 2, that's all the due diligence. The step 3 will be the reports. The reports will be about the promoter, about the business, about the industry, depending on the deal size. Okay, and then normally the negotiations, I mean, this is our original model that we will have the investors negotiate directly with the business, and then they can decide. We will suggest a proposed profit sharing model, and then let the investors and the business negotiate, and then freeze on that. But the way practically this model has been working, and I think we will change this, is that the negotiation is done by Rehbar. Because if you have 10 different people will have different ideas of what the right negotiated price should be. So the negotiation is done between Rehbar and the business, and then we say, this is the right percentage of profit which you should be giving to the investors. Once that is negotiated and settled, then we float it to the investors, and the investors, whoever is happy with that particular model and this thing, they will invest. So they'll come forward and say, okay, I want to invest X amount, I want to invest Y amount, and when that amount is fully done, then that investment goes, a contract is made. You'll see in the slide 5, in the step 5 here, RFC is not there. The contract is made between the investor and the business directly. And the money also passes from the investors to the business directly. Rehbar does not take the investment into Rehbar's account. The investment goes directly from the investor to the business. So people will ask, then why is Rehbar doing it? What's in it for Rehbar? So Rehbar does take a fee for doing all these services, and that's the fee with which the Rehbar runs its business, because we have to run our business in a very professional manner. We need highly qualified professionals to run this, do all this analysis. For that, a fee is charged both from the investor and from the promoter. After that, on a monthly basis, a monitoring is done by Rehbar on the business to check on the profits that were made in the previous month, to check why the profits are going up or not, the profits are not made, that round of again, people who have seen the first video would have seen that model happening there. And after that, the profit is paid directly by the promoter or the business to the investors. And Rehbar makes sure that this money reaches the investor, and that for this monitoring also, the Rehbar charges a fee for it. Okay, so what is it that Rehbar comes to what does Rehbar bring to the table? What are Rehbar's core competencies? First thing is, whatever Rehbar does will always fall between 2 things. Sharia code and will fall within 2 things. The Sharia code and the Indian legal and investment code. So we want to make sure that we comply 100% with the Indian legal rules and structure the investment in a highly tax efficient manner so that the tax paid out is minimal. Okay, this is not by lying or cheating, but by actually structuring the deal properly. Okay, the core competency that Rehbar brings is we have a network of experienced and professional team. The team will be introduced later in the presentation. In addition to the team that is going to be introduced here, we have an informal network of a much larger team whose advice we take on a case-to-case basis when needed. We have strategic tie-ups with institutions like IDAFA, TASIS, and so on, so we get expertise and required those things from them. A strong business network and an active investor network. The investor network is right now more than 600 people who are 600 people who are registered and about 200 people who have actually invested in Rehbar-based deals. Business analysis and deal structuring, analyzed more than 200 businesses. Many of the businesses we have done SWOT analysis, we have Porter's industry analysis, Porter's FIFO's analysis, risk analysis, comparison with peers, financial analysis done for every this thing, and then finally a fair deal structure. So these are the competencies with which the Rehbar team works. The due diligence, promoter background check, financial due diligence, legal due diligence, feedback from industry peers, suppliers, clients. I've talked about all these things. So the legal due diligence and financial due diligence, again, for larger deals, we have lawyers and chartered accountants to whom we go for advice. So if a deal is a crore and so on and so forth, then we don't just stick to these things. We actually get advice from the lawyers and this thing, and they structure specific agreements for each of these deals. The other thing is we have control systems, legal loan agreements which are vetted by corporate law professionals, security such as undated checks or property papers when we feel they are required. And the thing, I think this question came from one of the people earlier, the security like undated checks and these things are used only in case of fraud. A business, if it makes a loss, it makes a loss. Rehbar does not force them to give the returns. We go, we check their book, and we find that the business has made a loss. The loss has to be shared by the investors. Okay, that is the thing, and that is what Rehbar will continue to do, right? But if we feel that the business is hiding something, they're doing a fraud, that time we will utilize these to make sure that he comes back to the table and brings the money back as required. Strict terms of use of funds administered through joint mechanisms. In some cases, not in all cases, we make sure that the money goes to a joint account in which Rehbar representative is also signatory. So he can take the money only with Rehbar's permission. And the invoicing and this thing has to be done so that the money comes back to the same account. So that way we have more control in certain cases where we feel that there is a likelihood of this money getting diverted for other uses within the company. Long-term financing investment partner to the business as well as the investor. We also do overall business consultancy when not for the bigger businesses, but at least for the smaller ones. We give them advice on how to make their business better, what else they could do so that they can increase their profit. And many of these people, as I said, they come with absolutely no idea except that, so I bought it for 100 rupees, I should sell it for 150 rupees. That's all they have. What is their fixed overhead? How do they apportion it against, across those things? What are the risks? Where should they keep their money for liability and so on? Almost none of them, know when they come. So we slowly teach them each of these things so that financial discipline and expertise actually percolates down even to the smaller businesses. We make many of these businesses taxpayers. Most of them don't pay tax when they come. And we actually take them to our chartered accountant and say, look, you sit with the chartered accountant, you see how to structure things. Okay, it is not that you have to pay tax on 100% of things. These are things you can write off. These are the things where you can get claim deductions and so on. But you have to pay tax. So once they're above a certain turnover, then we make sure that they also, comply to the tax these things. Optimize the use of funds in the business. Again, that's something which we do. And hand-holding both parties from initiation to monitoring and even to the exit of the investment. So if someone wants to exit early, then we try to find a different investor who will come in and then give the money back to the first investor so that he can take his money for the emergency. If you're not able to find an alternate investor, then we have a transition plan where the money will come out from the business over 2 or 3 months and then the money is paid back to the investor. The team, I'm for namesake chairman, board of directors, the actual work is all done by other people. Okay, Khalid Saifullah Rahmani is the chairman of the Sharia board, to whom we go when there are new kinds of deals which come or new things which we don't understand. From the Sharia perspective, then we go back to him and explain the whole thing and then get a ruling from him whether what is the right way to do it and whether the way we are proposing is right or wrong. M.H. Katkade Saab, like Tanveer introduced earlier, he can be considered the grandfather of Islamic financing in India. He is IIT, from IIT Mumbai. He was CEO of TASIS and over 35 years of experience in Islamic banking and finance. Dr. Sharik Nisar is a director. He's a PhD from AMU, visiting fellow at Harvard Law School, director at TASIS. I think he's resigned right now, but he was director at TASIS sometime. Muhyiddin Ashfaq is the director of Mac Plywood Industries with 15 years of industrial experience. Mudassar Baig, he will be coming here and giving some more details of other deals. Sorry, let me introduce him at least. He is from IIT Bombay and MBA from SP Jain Center of Management. And he has worked in various private equity funds and venture capital funds earlier. Ashraf Mohammed is a regional head of West India. He's the founder of Idafa Investments, and again with over 20 years of experience in the field of Islamic finance. Raashid Sherif was a manager investments. He's an MBA from IMT Ghaziabad, and has studied in Deoband, this thing. Gibran Ahmed has manager operations, commerce graduate from Christ College, and worked in various roles in reputed MNCs, and that's Gibran. Okay. Said Shahabuddin, we have an investment committee. When there are deals which we don't understand, they're too complex or they're too large, then the investment committee actually sits and then reviews the deal before it's floated to the general public or the investor database. And Said Shahabuddin is a trustee of the National Pension Scheme, so he has rich experience in terms of how to evaluate companies and industries and so on. He was the ex-MD of SBI Mutual Fund and CCIL. So there's almost no business or no field of industry for which he doesn't have a knowledge, because at least 5-10 different people would have approached him for funds and for loans and so on and so forth. Ali Sherif is also a member of investment committee. He's an MSc in Development Management from London School of Economics and Political Science, and he's currently a consultant with Deloitte. Ahsan Ali Sherif is a MS from Arizona State University and is a senior principal engineer with Autodesk, about 20 years of experience in the IT industry. So you'll see that's a rich set of people here, who have got enough expertise, enough maturity, enough experience to be able to analyze various deals and then be able to give feedback on this. So now we'll get into more numbers, and I would request Raashid to come and discuss those numbers.
Assalamu alaikum. So I'll try to be quick because I know that we're already behind schedule and there's an important question and answer session. I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of questions that you want to clarify. So this is, we are saying that one is that we are Sharia compliant. We make sure that all the deals are in line with the rules of the Sharia, but then we are also very professional about how we choose the deals. So out of more than 350 deals that we have studied, we have rejected more than 300 of them. We've invested in about 50. Reasons why we reject the deal could be difficulty in monitoring, apart from non-Sharia compliant. It could be difficulty in monitoring, high business uncertainty, low promoter response, weak promoter background. We did some due diligence and found there's something fishy, then it's a weak promoter background. Business model is not feasible or investment is not feasible. Like the investment, if made in this business, would not give the type of returns which our investors might be expecting, then we apologize and we reject the deal. Next. Deals executed so far. In the 3 years since its inception, we have facilitated investment of rupees 11.8 crores in 53 businesses. So the way we did that is shown here. So you can see in the first 4 quarters, we've done only about 10 lakh worth of deals. The next 4 quarters, we've done about 1 crore worth of deals. And in the last 1 year, we've done another 9.5, 10 crores. We've crossed the 10 crore mark, and we're about 11.8 crores right now. Some of the larger deals, I don't know if you've got the classification into investment deals and social deals. So investment deals are basically the larger deals that we do that are to be done purely from an investment perspective. There's no social angle to it. Some of the larger deals, Trojan Plywood, we recently closed it at 5 crores. ID Fresh Food, this was unique because it is the first time we did a leasing model. We bought chillers and vehicles and leased it to ID Fresh Food, which is a very famous company here in South India. And we did about a crore for them, and another few rounds are yet to be done. Go Sports, this is in Rehan, whose video some of you saw before Maghrib. He's into sports equipment, manufacturing and trading and things like that. We did again 1.1 crore with him about 6 months back. Some of our social deals, 2 are shown. We've done about 40 of them. This is Sherif grocery. He sells tomatoes and coconuts. We did 2 rounds with him. First 2 lakh. Then he was giving about 20% return. Consistent, and he's a good guy. He has a lot of loyal clientele and things like that. So he wanted to take another shop in front of his. So he came for another 2 lakh funding, and alhamdulillah, that is also done recently. Sher Ali, he's a carpenter. Again, we've done 2 rounds. First we did 1.5 lakh. We saw how he was doing his business. Then he wanted to take the next shop also and again expand his business. So we've done another 1.5 lakh. So 3 lakhs we've invested with him. The purpose of social deal is not just investment. It's also that you're supporting an entrepreneur. So if you look at it purely from business perspective, it might not make sense because there are high risks. Like Sherif Saab said that if the person falls sick, there's no one to back him up. Or his child is sick, he might take money out of the business, and the business sort of suffers because of that. So just from that perspective, it's a high risk business. But then you're also supporting someone come up in life. So from that perspective, that's why a lot of our investors like to invest in these deals as well. So what some of our investors have to say, I'll just read a couple of them. Anwar ul Haq says that I started looking at the investment model of Rehbar positively and came forward to invest bigger sums of money in the selected businesses. So far my experience has been good, and I recommend this concept to my family members and friends so that they also benefit from these kind of investments which are halal and come out of interest-bearing investments which are haram. Just next one. Promoter, Mustafa PC was supposed to be here today, but unfortunately he couldn't make it, so I'll just read his. ID is a very successful VC-funded food startup promoted by me and my 4 cousins. I had approached Rehbar for financing our store chillers and distribution vehicles. One of the key objectives was to prove a Sharia-based equipment leasing model. Alhamdulillah, I am excited about it. This is the Rehbar Business Performance Index. We've made an index which shows if you had invested 1 lakh in April 1st, 2015, how much the money would have grown. So, assuming you've reinvested the profits as well, this is how it would have grown. And if you had invested 1 lakh in the other options, this is how they would have gone. So the yellow one is a fixed deposit, then you have the orange one is Sensex, then gold going all over the place. So those are the options. So just go back to the previous slide. 24.85% has been the average return so far over this period. Yeah, there's another presentation. It's on the desktop. That's okay. So the deal that we are about to introduce now, actually Mustafa PC, the CEO of ID Foods, was supposed to give a brief introduction about it. His cousin runs this business. It's called National Traders. I'm sure many of you have seen in the retail shops, this ID Select. Huh? No, not ID. ID Fresh Foods we've already invested in through a leasing model. I'm talking about ID Select, dry fruits and spices. Yeah, so this is the one that we're talking about. So it was started in 1989 and run since 2004 by Nazir and Noshad, who are both cousins of Mustafa PC, and they're also co-founders of the ID Fresh, that is the Idli, Dosha and Paratha company. And Mustafa PC, their cousin and CEO of ID Fresh, also acts as an advisor to them. He has also strongly recommended this deal. He sees high potential in it, and he is also willing to stand as a sort of a guarantor that these people are, reliable and you can invest with them. They are into distribution of spices and dry fruits to retail shops. They sell under the brand name ID Select currently, and they will be rebranding. They'll be doing some marketing expense and rebranding as Aura Select and Aura Premium in the near future. Noshad, he was also supposed to be here, but then unfortunately both of them could not make it. He's been running the show as the proprietor of National Traders for the last 5 years. And he took the sales for 4 or 5 years. He's taken the sale in this period from 40 lakhs to 1.7 CR per month. And he's increased the number of shops from 180 to 1,000 in the same period. This investment is required, 1.5 crore is required to give exit to some old investors that they have with them, as well as 1.5 crore to scale up their business, put some more machinery, some distribution vehicles, and other stock working capital requirements. Investment tenure is 1 year, and the minimum investment size that we'll accept from investors is 3 lakh. Of course, we have certain criteria based on which we accept the investor. For example, higher investment size is given first preference, and then new investors are also given first preference. And the expected profit for an investor who invests 3 lakhs over this 1 year will be 75,000. It will be monthly profits, but then in the beginning it might be around 6,000, at the end it might be around 7,000. Over the year you can expect around 75,000 return on this investment. And that translates to an annual ROI of 25%. These are some pictures. This is Noshad. That's the packaging that is happening there. That's another packaging machine over here. Interestingly, I put this photo of the packaging machine because when we visited the factory, it was just sitting idle, not being used. And there was a lady sitting next to that and packing. So I asked, actually he himself told us that this machine can pack 24 pouches per minute, whereas this lady can do 30 pouches per minute. So that's why they're using the machine instead of that's why the lady is doing it instead of the pouch. Maybe if she's on leave someday, then they'll use the machine. Yeah. The other pictures also, I'll just quickly. This is the stock, this is a godown, and yeah, that's, you see in a retail shop, we've taken that picture. So yeah, I think that's enough. So this deal is available on our website. You can commit directly from that. And now I think we'll go ahead for the Q&A section.
Jazakallah, Raashid. Mudassar, yeah. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Deals presented, model shown, conversation over from our side. Now it's your turn. Ask me a question. If you have something that you need to know, not ask me, ask them a question. If you have something to know about what was spoken about today, if you have just a thought, then hold that thought. I'll give you the mic at the end because we may not have time for all that. So questions connected with, before I go on, sorry, I need Mr. Mudassar Baig on stage over here, please. Mudassar Baig, CEO Rehbar. He will also sit on the panel to take questions. Okay. First of all, questions connected with Brother Yawar Baig's speech. Anything that you want to ask Brother Yawar Baig or share with him, but not too long. We don't have time. I know we all need to have dinner and we all need to pray, and we already behind schedule. So I would appreciate if you keep it crisp, but important questions need to be asked. So put your hand up and we'll send you the mic. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. Sir, you had mentioned that poverty has a direct or indirect effect on the average Joe. How does that actually happen? Could you elaborate a bit on that, perhaps with an example? Thank you.
Okay, that's quite simple because the more poor people you have, the more the economy is being drained because they are not contributing anything. They are a net sink for whatever you are producing. So that obviously affects you, right? If you convert those poor people into contributors, like Sherif said, we're getting people now to pay tax. So automatically it affects you in a positive way. So poverty affects everyone, directly or indirectly, one way or the other it's affecting. Plus, not only in terms of money, poverty is the single biggest cause behind crime, urban crime. It affects you. Poverty is one of the major reasons for the spread of disease. Again affects you. So lots of ways in which poverty affects you. So poverty alleviation is not just for the goodness of the poor people, we have a personal stake in it.
Jazakallah, one more question.
That is halal, this is haram.
Life insurance,
You know the answer. Why you
health insurance.
This is halal, this is haram, this is halal. Life, haram, health, halal.
Life
Haram. Insurance. I know, that's what he's asking.
insurance. Because there are different of opinion.
Don't ask me, no. Follow whichever opinion you want. You ask my opinion, I give my opinion. See, my point is, people ask questions to get a certain answer from my mouth that they have been trying for a long time. You ask my opinion, I give my opinion. Take it or leave it, no problem. Khalas. Jazakumullah khair.
I've heard of a website called fatwashopping.com. Maybe you want to try there. Anybody else?
Yeah, my question is to Sherif over there. Assalamu alaikum. You mentioned earlier that share market investments may not be actually Sharia compliant. There might be some clauses added to that. I'm just wondering, like,
Share capital or VC funding?
you mentioned share capital or mutual funds or something like
I'll
that.
answer both.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm wondering is that what are the clauses that might be added, and moving forward, if I'm looking for investment in share capital, what all should I have to actually?
So in the share market, basically the issue is this, that the issue that Yawar Baig mentioned, which is that the Sharia compliant stocks are classified as Sharia compliant by looking at that 15% criteria, right? If you make that criteria 0%, then none of them will qualify. Okay. So I'm not saying this is correct or that is wrong. I'm saying according to that definition, the stock market, even the Islamic stock fund, is not compliant. But the opinion of 15% has been given by very reputed muftis. If someone wants to follow that, that's certainly up to them. Okay. In terms of VC funding, typically, I think Mudassar will be able to explain better than me what kind of clauses they add on. Only if you're interested in that answer. Otherwise, I don't have to spend time because there's very little time left. Okay, fine. Then let's.
Any more questions for Brother Yawar Baig?
Assalamu alaikum. Sir, you mentioned that poverty is a main problem, but poverty is the main issue. Okay? But if I observe in Bangalore, we are coming up with a lot of grand mosques, spending crores of rupees. Just for example, Modi Masjid is being rebuilt. I saw estimated 8 crore rupees. If poverty is a problem, then aren't we responsible to distribute that money in some way, better way, and you optimize the fund and better build a big masjid, but not a grand masjid.
Another one of my golden rules of survival is I do not allow anyone to shoot from my shoulder.
So I just wanted to share this thought.
Jazakallah. Okay, Rehbar. Questions about Rehbar? Rehbar? Okay, quick question about Rehbar. Before that, can I have another show of hands? Any more questions for Rehbar? So I'll know how much to allow. 1, 2, can we start with the one? Can we start with Sanawala sir, please?
So Sherif Saab, you said I have seen just 53 proposals you have done. How many were successful? How many were failures? Number one. And among the failures, what was the reason? One. And secondly, if I want to invest, if I invest in a proposal where there is some loss in the middle of the business, can I withdraw the money?
Sanawala sir, former IAS officer.
So the success and failure depends on how someone defines success and failure, obviously. Okay, but if we define success as a person has got returns, okay, let's say anything which is a profit is a success, anything which is a loss is a failure. Then out of 53, 52 are successful, 1 is a loss. Okay. Now that's probably a bad definition. Let's take the definition a little bit higher and then say anything which is more than a fixed deposit return is successful, and anything below a fixed deposit return is a failure. I think even then it is 52 and 1. Is that right? Yeah. So, and I think out of the 53 businesses, there's only one which went into a loss, and there's only one business for which the average return is below 13%. Everything else is above 13 to 14%. Okay. In terms of exiting after the loss, you can exit after sharing the loss, right? So if I have invested 1 lakh, okay, and I got, let us say, 10% profit in the first month, right? And the second month he made a 20% loss, right? I mean, the contribution of loss to you is 20%. I mean, the loss would be different. Okay, so that means that you are now eligible to withdraw only 90,000. I mean, if you have already got the check for the 10%, then you are eligible to withdraw only 80,000 rupees. So if you can withdraw 80,000 rupees, but there will be a, we give a clause saying that you need to give 2 months notice or 3 months notice. That will be there right in the beginning. So you still have to give that 2 months notice. And if he makes further loss in this 2 months period, you'll still have to share that.
Okay, Rehbar questions? 1 more, 2, 3. Brother over there.
My question is about the investment criteria. From what I have read and heard here is that you're more biased towards larger investments. If you have a larger, if I'm a retail investor coming up, willing to put up the minimum ticket size and willing to take the risk, and I'm the first investor, you might not take my money, you might take someone else who's willing to put up more money. So could you explain the rationale behind that and whether the retail investor is really your target audience? Thank you.
The idea of getting this criteria of giving preference to the ones who want to invest a higher amount was that initially we were keeping it open and saying that whoever gives the commitment first will get the allotment. But then what was happening is there are some investors who have a certain amount to invest, and they could never get the allotment. I mean, they'll have to wait. For example, someone wants to invest 10 lakhs, and he'll have to wait for 10 deals where he'll be allotted 1 lakh each time. That was not something which was feasible for him. So basically, with this, what was happening is some of the larger investors were almost being cut off from the investment. So that was one thing. Secondly, even operationally, it is easier for us to handle when there are fewer investors per deal rather than having a lot many investors per deal. So these are some of the reasons why we thought that we'll give preference to the investors who want to invest larger amount. However, the other thing we do is, for example, there are investors who say we want to invest 2 lakhs, and then every time probably they won't be able to get into the deal. So we say you commit this amount. So anytime we get a good deal, we will make sure this is allotted to you, even though you're not competitive in terms of the other criteria. So we have some of these provisions to make sure that the smaller investors' interests are also taken care of.
Okay, one small rule. Any direct questions, personal questions can be asked offline. How do I get in touch with you, brother? What is Rehbar's address, etc., etc.? Yeah, anything to do with what benefits everybody else? Questions are welcome. Yeah.
I have a question regarding Rehbar investment. Being an investor, but the answer I want is from the Sheikh. So the question is basically, when we invest in such deals, so we're just putting our money, we're not giving our time, we're not giving any effort towards it. Is it perfectly halal for us to do such a thing that we just invest our money and say Rehbar takes care of monitoring everything, but we are getting returns only on the money. So we are not doing any effort towards it. So is it perfectly halal, or is there something you would like to, can you answer this?
See, first of all, this is not a fatwa because I do not give fatwas. So you want a fatwa, go to a mufti. Now, in my view, if someone wants to take my money, I don't do any work, and he gives me a return, this is good, man. What's wrong with it? I don't want to work. But if you want a fatwa, go to a mufti. I'm not a mufti, I don't give fatwas. Jazakallah khair.
Okay, okay, we had a hand here. And brother over here in the front row.
It's not a question, a comment, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
What kind of assurance we can expect on the due diligence? Because I think most of the brothers would have been aware, one of our famous cooperative bank of Bangalore went for a toss, and it has become the newspaper headlines because the due diligence, so what are the loans were given, did not. So what kind of assurance or due diligence we can expect from the Rehbar group?
Well, no 100% assurance can ever be given on any of these things. We talk to people, we get their feedback, we record that feedback. If you want to actually see, obviously, giving the feedback of everyone to, publicizing it is not a good policy. But if someone is highly interested in a specific deal and wants to know more details about what that due diligence is, you could always contact Mudassar and he'll be able to give you details. I've checked with A, this was his response. I've checked with B, this was his response. And then it's up to you to take a call. Right.
Okay. Yeah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Knowingly, I got into a home loan, okay, thinking that it is for tax saving and the rents and the tax saving will actually help me clear my EMIs and I'll actually be benefited, okay. Then obviously I know it's wrong and I want to come out of it. And also you spoke about some Sharia-related home funding which you are actually initiating. How can Rehbar actually benefit me if at all possible? I can actually make sure that the rents and the other things are paid back.
So, unfortunately, at this point of time, we don't want to give details because we want to get a written legal opinion from some of the reputed lawyers in Bangalore. Once we get that, then we will announce the details. Okay, we have got a model. We have vetted it with a couple of people. Now, what we want is to a very highly reputed, lawyer, preferably a non-Muslim lawyer who's not looking at it from any of these things, should give a written opinion saying that yes, this is perfectly legal under Indian tax conditions. Once we get that, then we will, announce this. But before that, if you are interested, you can just send an email to Rehbar. Rehbar will keep you in the list. And then when something is of this sort happens, then we will get in touch with you. But certainly do keep in mind that your monthly payout may turn out to be more than what you're paying the bank, right? I mean, it is not that we are here to, reduce the payout. Or it may be less. I mean, we don't know. But
okay, last question here. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. In the course of your presentation, you did mention that the agreements are between the investor and the investee. Is there any specific reason that there is no tripartite agreement between Rehbar and the entities involved? Is there any specific reason to comply with the Sharia complaint?
There is an MOU which is signed between the Rehbar and the investor, and there is an MOU which is signed between Rehbar and the promoter. So, I mean, that takes care of as good as yeah. I mean, whenever a deal is done, all these agreements are signed, so it's as good as that. Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. My question is regarding the education loan system that's available now. For example, if I have to go abroad, I need an education loan, so I need to pay back the interest also. Like Sheikh said that you invest, you give your money back in interest, the khair and the barakat goes away. So does it have any effect on my education? And no. But and the other question is, does Rehbar have any service for this? An education loan.
no, at this point of time, no. And I don't think Lifeline will be able to do foreign education loans. Frankly, I mean, it's up to you, but the amounts will be much higher than what Lifeline would give.
Also, let me tell you that we have in this country, all you have to do is study a little bit harder. You have in this country, you know what they say? They say the people who fail the IITs go to Stanford. So we have absolutely top-class education institutions in this country. There's no reason that you need to take an interest-based loan to go abroad for an education. Absolutely no reason. Second thing is, I have friends who are studying, there's one guy who's studying in Harvard Business School, another one is studying in MIT, both studying completely free because they got scholarships. So do that. Educational loan or any loan with an interest, haram. So forget that. Just study harder, get in here into the IIT or what do you want to do? Engineering or what? You want to go for? You're an engineer. Huh? Right. So where do you want to go? Right. So do an MTech in here, no? In one of the IITs. What? Yeah. So really, there's no reason. Huh?
Yeah, no. The government of Karnataka has a scholarship scheme where for minorities, if you study abroad, you get 10 lakhs per year as scholarship. You get 20 lakhs for 2 years. One criteria is that your parents' income should be less than 6 lakhs per year. You get 20 lakhs. If it is between 6 and 15 lakhs, you get 10 lakhs, 50% of it. Non-refundable, 100% scholarship. Yeah, government has earmarked 3 crores this year. About more than 100 students have gone abroad. I think you can try for that.
Jazakallah, Sanal sir. That is useful information. Okay, we have reached the end of, at least we are winding up when we promised we will. So, I think, I know that most people, you wanted to give closing comments.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm from Chennai. I want you all to join with me in first thanking Allah that we are here, sitting today here. Alhamdulillah, I met Yawar Baig brother some 16, 17 years back, Alhamdulillah, and it has changed my life. Instead of asking too many questions ourselves and others, we should stop asking, meaning what lesson I learned. It's up to you. Ask Allah and Alhamdulillah, follow whatever is presentation that was given. I think you are promising to distribute the presentation to everyone? Inshallah, Alhamdulillah. So I think we go line by line and Alhamdulillah, that will take care of all the issues. Just a word about what Rehbar is doing. I really envy. I'm coming from Tamil Nadu. I'm here in this field for more than 8-9 years working on this. And only last week when I came to know Rehbar, I volunteered with them and requested them to accommodate me for Tamil Nadu. Alhamdulillah, I'm thankful to brothers because this is something that is required. There are a lot of talking happening elsewhere, but real assistance and help is happening here. And our role should be to pray for them and with patience support them. And this is my comment. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah. You want to introduce yourself one more time?
Yeah, Muhammad Ismail said from Chennai, Mana Muna Academy, working in this field for some time. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair for those comments. Okay, a couple of announcements before we wind up. Number one, the presentation that brother made today, brother Yawar Baig, made today, he's more than willing to share that with whoever wants it. The condition is that you need to leave your email IDs. So when you have registered, and if you've clearly written your email IDs, you will get a copy. In case you haven't clearly written your email IDs, or if you've omitted your email IDs, then you can go back and include that again and make sure that your email IDs are legibly written so that you will get a copy, inshallah. Another announcement, brother Yawar Baig, alhamdulillah, is still here. Tomorrow in Masjid-e-Mamur, Korbangla, we will be holding a program where brother Yawar Baig will be speaking on Qalbun Salim. Qalbun Salim. So tomorrow 6:30 at Masjid-e-Mamur. There is also provision for ladies over there. So please spread the word and make sure that you are also there. Inshallah, you will benefit. You've heard the brother. Whoever heard him for the first time, I'm sure you will be excited to come back. Whoever has heard him before, I'm sure you all already have prioritized to be there. So Jazakallah khair. This is an amazing gathering. It's amazing because in a world which has given up and accepted interest as a way of life and resigned themselves to fate, there are some people who are making an effort to not accept that, to make a change, and there are people who are willing to support that, and this is living proof of that. So Jazakallah khair for that, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our coming here. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept whatever was told today and bless that with barakat so that all of us implement that in our lives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our lives for His worship and give us the ability to stay away from haram in every way, shape and form. Jazakallah khair. Subhanallah bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. One moment, sorry. Saeed साहब के तरफ से एक request आई है, यावर बेग साहब से दुआ करवाइए conclusion में. तो brother, would you like to lead us?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما آتيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك فإنه لا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تبارك ربنا وتعاليت نستغفرك اللهم ونتوب إليك ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك وأغننا بفضلك عمن سواك اللهم ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Before everybody gets up, Amin, we have two members in this group who did not understand what was said. I'm sure, I hope the others did, but we have two non-Muslims in the crowd. So for their benefit, brother just prayed to God Almighty, asking for guidance and blessings, technically.
So you are safe.
Safe. There's no problem with that. Also, the story where the non-Muslims gave away, forgot the loan, and then the Muslim did not. That's an exception. Okay, there are lots of good Muslims in our community as well. So
that happens only in Hyderabad.
that happens only in Hyderabad. Okay, dinner time. Couple of suggestions, not rules. Dinner is laid out. If that's what I've been asked to say. I don't know how this will make sense, but if half of you all can eat and half of you all can pray, I don't know which half will eat. I mean, given a choice, I'm sure everybody will want to eat first. But ideally, we will make an Isha Jamaat right now. So, inshallah, we will head out for namaz. And ladies are a handful. I don't think they need an entire session. So, I don't know. Okay. Maybe I should say people wearing checks can eat, everybody else can pray. Well, we'll sort that out. But inshallah, we'll have a Jamaat now. Assalamu alaikum.